It is no longer linear. Why? Because you are both in the past, the now, and in your future. Is irrelevant in regards to a process of measurement, all right? Now, Einstein, of course, was a very, very demonstrative genius when it came to his mentality, all right? However, he was attempting to give people the understanding that all things in creation are relative to each other, okay? So, yes, there is the existence of time from the perspective of the here and the now, or the now and the then, or the now and the yet to be. But it is not a timeline in perspective as we would consider, well, at such and such an age, I did such and such and such and such and such and such. No, because in the fourth dimension, everything is in the now moment. In other words, you have already experienced your past, learned from your past, and taken that so that you have garnered the mistakes that you made and will no longer recreate them again. All right? And in turn, in addition to that, you are also aware that you are in the present moment having the experience that you yourself have created for you to have. All right? And then in the future moment is the ideas of what you want tomorrow to be. So it's an entirely different perspective than what you would experience in 3D, because 3D just says, okay, well, I'm going to sleep tonight, and I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning, and I'm going to go to my job, and I'm going to go to the store, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do this. Well, you see, the higher the dimension you travel upon delineates or lessens the needs that you have become accustomed to in the three-dimensional world. So, with this understanding, the fourth dimension is the transition point from your third dimensional being into your fifth dimensional being. It is not talked about much because it's a process. It is not necessarily given under process through which one has decided to go through by turning inward and raising their vibration and their frequency and turning more towards love, which of course, now if you want to go religious on it, well then you could say, all right, I am reaching up towards Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness, of course, is a generalized term, meaning that Christ came here to represent the purity of love of the divine, and therefore his love reached out to every individual, regardless of race, creed, tradition, etc., etc., etc. All right? His message was one of love, and he basically left us with three golden rules, and that is to love yourself and to love all others as you love yourself. To treat yourself as you treat all others and you treat yourself. And to, by all means, love all others as you would love yourself. So that's the three golden rules basically put in the here and now, okay? And so that's the message he came to deliver.
If we talk about brain theory, okay, because I'm struggling with the physics and the shapes and the cubes and the space, but we're talking dimensions, fourth dimension, and the fifth dimension, they're saying, is space warped by energy throughout fifth dimensional space-time. But if we use gravity, right, where gravity is concentrated, so we'll use that as the third dimension. And then we're talking about overlays, the end of opening strings. You know, they're saying that because we're in space-time and we understand the warp, things are bigger, lighter, closer to the brain where we are on this planet, or anything that's three-dimensional. But when you take the gravitons, okay, the gravity that transmits in the closed strings, they're not confined to either the fifth, which is what you and I discussed.
All right, the gravity, if you related to gravity, all right, in the fourth dimension, we only experience half the gravity that we do here on Earth, all right? Gravity really has no true pull, in the essence being that it is molecularly or atomically, anatomically or atomically controlling you in any way, the way that it does here, because there's no need for you to be centrally pulled.
Can we teach people the difference between? Can we teach people BRANE, brain theory of multiple dimensions? With the BRANE,
well, you see, I want people to leave their brains behind, because your brain is old school. All right, you're talking about chemically a functional piece of your anatomy that resides within your skull. All right, When you get into the true heart of metaphysics and you get into the true heart of spirituality, you're talking about mental concepts and the mind. The mind, of course, is non-existent other than the fact that it's an etheric form that is utilized constantly by your personality. Okay? So the mind doesn't have any true existence, but yet at the same time, it is what dominates this reality and the reality that you experience, whether it be the fourth, fifth, or on up the regular dimensional scale. So the gravity
I'm talking about BRANE, the other brain, the one we use in 3D, BRANE for fifth dimensional shapes and how we teach physics. But that fifth dimensional space, when we jump over the gravitons in space, because they're still using gravity space in the BRANE, in the according to string theory. But
okay, well, that's fine. These all have relevance in the third dimension. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand, okay? You cannot take what is relevant mentally, whether it be mathematics or whether it be string theory or whether it be quantum mechanics or whether it be quantum physics or any of this, basically, and apply it, with the exception of all those I just mentioned. There's only one that transcends the third dimension, and that is quantum physics. Because you see, when you go talking about the quantum field, basically you're exposing yourself to a string of pure energy that gives you the creativity of instant manifestation. And so basically, if you surround yourself in the quantum field, which is brought about by being in the here and now, or the now moment, or the 0 point in math, okay? When you reach the 0 point in math, you are neither convoluting forward nor convoluting backward. You're actually stationary. But yet in that stationariness is the vastness of all creation standing before you.
Let's see if Brian's going to come on. He's talking to me on Skype, but what am I doing wrong? Am I not putting him on? I thought he was.
Tell him to dial in. Tell him to dial the number directly, okay? And don't use Skype, because we don't need to be blending Skype in with Blog Talk. I don't think that's going to work too well.
Let's see. He's used to.
Have him just dial the number, just like anyone else would, and then you welcome him as a guest, just like you do me.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me see. Can you call in, please? Because he's late. 347-945-7207 on your cell phone.
Okay, you don't need to be telling the audience. I mean, this is a reiteration, of course, of anyone that wants to join the show, pose a question, pose their opinion, or ask a question or anything else that they would like to do. That is our dial-in number, and we can readily be reached thereby. And this is the method by which is most commonly used on Blog Talk Radio, okay? Now, if we get into Skype, then that would be a whole another dimension, okay? Because, yes, you're talking about transiting from regular radio waves into phonicized, however you would want to mechanically or telecommunication Skype is. Do what?
Yeah, I always have trouble. I have trouble with that jump when we're discussing
or just
dimensions.
Have him dial in as anyone else would be welcome to dial in. Oh, as far as the dimensions are concerned, well, you see, the dimensions are very, very simple, okay? You raise your vibration, and as you raise your vibration, you expose on a molecularly atomic level the entirety of your physicality, the entirety of your mentality, the entirety of your emotional self, and you progress forward from these into what I would quantify as the quantum field, all right? The quantum field, like I said, is an expression of creation, and it's the best way that I can quantify it mathematically as the 0 point. In other words, the conjunction of the past, the present, and the future, all conjoining in one split second in the now moment. All of this intellectualism about math and reality and all the rest of it, it's old school because it belongs to 3D, okay? You cannot describe other dimensions using 3D terms because those terms are not related to nor used in another dimension.
Now,
but
some
anyway,
of the people I've
to give you a base of understanding, like I say, the third dimension is where we are now. The fourth dimension is where we are becoming more and more of our true selves. Okay?
Space and time.
It is an ascension. It isn't. No, it is an ascension process. It doesn't have a damn thing to do with space or time, because for relativity's sake, everything happens at the right time in the right place at the right moment. Okay? That's where relativity comes in. Otherwise, outside of that, it has no basis.
A lot of the young kids for years in cyberspace have talked about don't go to fourth because that's where all the bad aliens and the archons live. So this has been told
okay.
to a
Look,
lot of the kids.
we are not going to admit any negativity whatsoever in any size, shape, or description on this platform, simply because I annihilate all negativity. All right? Negativity cannot exist in my because negativity is based on fear, and fear only exists in the third dimension. So if you're projecting fear into the fourth dimension, it's just going to be bounced right back to you because it doesn't exist.
Oh, Brian says he's on here. Oh, okay.
Well, let
me introduce you.
Okay, well, then what's he talking about? I mean, he's already on.
No, he's
then,
not.
Of course, introduce the man so he can join us in conversation.
Okay. Thank you, Katie, for hanging in there. She's still with us. Okay, he's been on 46. Hi, Brian. I must have told you the wrong time. How are you?
No, I'm sorry. I made a mistake at the time. Sorry.
That's all right.
This is
no big deal. Time's irrelevant.
We were talking about space and time in the fourth dimension. Dr. Richard T. Knight, this is Brian Rue of Canada and our Vancouver. He's the assistant director. And Brian, tell people a little bit about the UFO groups, and then we can get into a little metaphysics too, because Dr. Richard Thomas Knight, not Dr. Rick, over there close to you in Oregon, but this is the other Dr. Rick in Georgia.
Okay.
But tell him a little about you and your metaphysics and spirituality and your YouTubes, and then you two can get in a conversation. He's going to try to run our Saturday night for various organizations, Brian, including UFOs. So tell him a little about you and your group.
Yeah, okay. And I can mention my group we have a Vancouver UFO group. We meet every Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We just met with a dozen people today. We do a Zoom video, and we focus on experiencers. Like we have an abductee here, Jeff Selver, who's had close contact with the Greys, and he's writing a book. We've done 20 hours of videos with him. And we have a YouTube channel called Vancouver UFO. So we've got about 140 members, and we're interested in the idea of a federation of planets, that Earth should join this. Jeff's had a favorable relationship with the Greys, and last Saturday we had a woman, Crystal, in Vancouver Island, who's also been in touch with the Greys and also gets messages about a federation of planets. Myself, I'm a Buddhist teacher by profession. I taught for 20 years, of course, meditation and Buddhism around the Vancouver area, and I've been making videos since 2011. I've got 2,500 videos on my BitChute channel, whole playlist called UFOs and Aliens. I cover other subjects like New World Order, history, things like that. So I've been a controversial figure. I've had about 6 million hits. I get about 7,000 hits a day on my BitChute channel. But my big focus is whatever affects humanity the most, like the biggest issues, the biggest opportunities, or the biggest dangers for humanity. That's what I focus on. I've been concerned a lot about the globalists, but I think the dark side of the reptilians are working through the globalists, in my view, and then there's the good side, the Federation with the Greys. So it's all very mysterious. We don't know for sure what all the aliens are up to and how many there are, but that's my big interest. Yes, I'm a meditator. I've done some channeling as well. I feel I get messages. I'm sort of a C average channeler, not the best in the world, but I have a real Buddhist worldview of the devas, the higher realms. So I have a Theravada. I was a Buddhist monk in Thailand, so I've got a Theravada Buddhist worldview. So what else can I say? I can ask many questions.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
You just gave us a mouthful in a very brief few sentences or a very brief few words. Now, I can identify and sympathize with your Buddhist roots simply because